Nah, for real, everybody worried about you, gang.
What?
Everybody thinks something wrong with you, and I'm just sitting here just like, damn, what's wrong with Big Four now?
If you don't know who Young Chop is, you must have been sleeping under a rock back in 2012 when Chicago drill really took off in a big way for the first time. See, Chop is one of the most prolific producers in the genre, and honestly, we might not even have the sound of drill without him. Pretty much all the early tracks you liked from Chief Sosa exist thanks to Chop. He was majorly involved with 300, the collective of rappers from O-Block and the surrounding areas that really put the genre on the map. He did beats for Keef, Fredo Santana, and an early Lil Durk. That being said, he's had some pretty major falling outs with a lot of people from the crew, the first of which being Keef himself. However, it seems like these days he's found himself in some hot water with Durk. So what really happened with Chop and Durk? Tyree Lamar Pittman, better known as Young Chop, was born back in 1993 in Chi-Town. His cousin taught him how to make beats when he was just a shorty, around the age of 11. He met Chief Keef over Facebook, and Keef messed with his beats. When they finally link up, they got to work on Keef's most important early mixtape, Back from the Dead. People immediately took notice, remarking on Keef's stoic flow and Young Chop's dark, Lex Luger-inspired beats. It sounded like nothing else at the time. The mixtapes featured sparse hi-hats, thick distorted 808 bass, and the sound of shots popping off. While people had glamorized gang life in the past, this project shows the reality of the streets in a no-holds-barred kind of way. The mixtape also featured I Don't Like, Keef's breakout single. Both Keef and Young Chop caught the eyes of some major figures in the industry, like Kanye West and Lady Gaga. The mixtape itself also went double platinum, which is pretty huge for a record that isn't even officially an album. With the newfound platform, he found that he was going to start his own label, just like Keef did, calling it Chop Squad. He also founded a site that sold samples and soft synths for the sake of helping out other and up-and-coming producers. That being said, Chop isn't really known for being all that much of an upstanding guy. He's had issues in the past. After Chief Keef decided that he wasn't going to bail out Lil Durk, he wasn't about to let that fly. He got involved with the crew that decided they were going to rob Chief Keef's house, more or less as a way to publicly shame him for not giving back to the hood. Chop's also been known for being a little bit of a troll online. No one really knows when he's being real or not. This, of course, has caused more than a few issues for Chop. All the negative attention hasn't really panned out well for Chop, leaving some people to start questioning his sanity. Like a lot of people in the rap game, he has a bad habit of starting beef where there really shouldn't be any. For whatever reason, a big target for Chop back in the day was none other than 21 Savage. Chop decided that he was going to call out 21 on Instagram, doubting his game credentials. He also talked about a time where, according to Chop, 21 Savage got scared when Chop brought a weapon to a recording studio. Chop says that 21 flipped out and started hiding behind Meek Mill, who was also in the studio at the time. Chop made a statement on the whole thing during a live conversation with Gilly the Kid. This wasn't some normal internet rapper stuff for clout either. For whatever reason, Chop decided to make the whole thing personal. He said,
What you talking about? 17.5. What you talking about? Cheap jewelry, what? 10.5, 7.5. What you talking about? 10,000. What the f you talking about? I got 100,000 worth of jewelry on. What is you talking about, blood? Is you a blood? I don't know. Cause I went over there to the boulevard. Why you hanging with Crips?
Since this all started when Chop was dissing a lot of rappers in general for talking about rap stuff when he's not really sure if they're really about it, it's weird to see this whole thing get so heated so fast. That being said, 21 didn't waste any time responding, saying, make sure y'all go get his tape when it dropped cause he needed the clout, and pray for him cause he done lost his mind. Then Chop came back, he said, is you a blood? I don't know cause I went over to the boulevard, why you hanging with the Crips? My point exactly. It's also important to mention that Young Chop's mama passed away in March of 2020. And according to a lot of people around the internet, he hasn't been the same since. That's about the time he started talking all this mess on 21 and a lot of other rappers. And it got to the point where a lot of people thought that something had snapped in Chop. For a little bit, he took a big break from making music and social media. He did have a few things to say about his mama in an interview though. He opened up by saying, my mama was a big part. I used to take her everywhere with me. When I'm in the sessions with people or going out in town or doing shows and stuff like that, I took her everywhere. So she was basically my manager, my road manager and stuff like that. So she was really on it. Before my mama even got sick, she was just telling me to keep going. Just keep going no matter what. That with my head. She wants me to keep going crazy. She didn't want me to feel bad about nothing. I'm 22, but it just shocked me. Like, damn, I took my mama everywhere with me when I was on the road. I let her travel with me to different places, interviews, all that. I lost my grandma the year before. I lost two important people in my life. I'm really numb to it. I felt it, but it's like, What's next? Now that we've seen the type of stuff Chop gets up to, we can get into the recent beef that's been brewing. We know that the whole squad has kind of fallen apart since back in the day. Seems like the only homies who were still really riding for each other at this point were Von and Durk, but of course that whole thing fell apart. It's had some far-reaching consequences too, as we've seen with the Durk and Youngboy beef. That's part of the problem with Chop and Durk though. We really don't know what's going on behind the scenes with all these dudes, but it must not have been good. As you may know, DaBaby and NBA Youngboy just put out a joint together. A lot of people are really messing with it, but very same day that the collab came out, King Von's team put out a posthumous release. DaBaby and Youngboy put the album out the same day as a part of the beef, and it might be really important to the story that 21 Savage had a feature on the Von album. We don't really know exactly what side 21 is on, but based on what we've seen, he knows that being on a feature is picking a side. I guess that means he rides with Durk and not with Youngboy. It seems like there could be a few things going on here. See, Chop had some words to say about 2 albums that came out, and they don't exactly go how you would expect. Instead of honoring the dead homie and sticking by his dudes from O-Block, he does the exact opposite. See, Chop made a post featuring the album called Better Than You. The post said, "MP that other album ass, I didn't play it," referring to the King Von album, What It Means to Be King. That's a real serious diss when that's one of your dudes' albums, and you're sitting here repping the ops. Obviously, affiliations can change, but something really bad must have gone down between Chop and the homies to pan out this way. Either that, or Chop really just hates 21 that much. At the end of the day though, no one could have seen things going like this. As you might be able to guess, fans were not happy about Chop making a post dissing the dead homie like this. One fan said, "It's crazy, Von was the main person checking up on you on live and telling you he loved you when the rest of the industry was clowning you. This ain't right." Another fan quoted Von talking to Chop saying, "Von, I love you, gang. Chop, okay, big brother. Damn, he really was a snake." To give you a little more context, we also gotta talk about some social media exchanges between Durk and Chop. At first, Durk said, "We not into it with all these goofies. Stop posting that slick snitching. We ain't in war. We get money. We staying positive." Chop took that one personally and made his own post saying he doing all that talking knowing they ass police as sitting on the internet wanting to throw out positive messages and knowing damn well you a rat. After all that, there was an IG live where Chop was smoking hookah with his shirt off, and a bunch of dudes got on his live in reaction to him dissing Von. A lot of people originally thought that these were some O-Block dudes trying to threaten him, but if you listen to the video, you can tell they're actually from Indiana. Either way, they weren't cool with what Chop was speaking on all that.
Hey, bro, stop booing me, bro.
I am not on anything Chicago police.
Hey, stop booing me, bro.
Chop,
Good.
what up, Chop?
Chicago
Good,
police, if y'all watching this,
Boy.
look, I know y'all is. I'm pretty sure y'all
Hey,
watching
Chop.
this.
What's really sad about all this, from the dissing to talking trash on King's Von album like that, is that these dudes all used to be so close. Back in the day when Chop was down real bad, King Von was one of the only dudes to check up on young Chop. He met up with him on Instagram Live just to make sure that Chop was doing okay, and he obviously wasn't. It's just so sad to see all these dudes drift apart. But what do y'all think about Chop switching up on his homies and dissing Von and Durk? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you dug this video, make sure you check out this next one, cause it's wild.